संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of Devi Mahatmyam or Durga Saptashati or Chandi. We shall begin our study by chanting the meditation verse on Mahakali. Mahakali Dhyanam in the first chapter. Please repeat this verse after me. Om Khadgam Chakragadeshu Chapaparighan Khadgam Chakragadeshu Chapaparighan Shulam Bhushundim Shiraha Shulam Bhushundim Shiraha Shankham Sandhadatim Karaistrinayanam Shankham Sandhadatim Karaistrinayanam Sarvanga Bhushavritam Sarvanga Bhushavritam Yam Hantum Madhukaitabhau Yam Hantum Madhukaitabhau Jalaja Bhustustava Supte Harau Jalaja Bhustustava Supte Harau Nilashmadhyutimasya Padadash Nilashmadhyutimasya Padadashakam Seve Mahakalikam Seve Mahakalikam. We were learning to chant the verses from 13th onwards. We shall now chant the verses from the 13th, that is Matpurvaihi Palitam Purvam Maya Hinam Puram Hitat Madbhrutyaistain Asadvrittair Dharmataha Palyate Nava Na Jane Sapradhano Me Shuro Hasti Sadamadaha Mama Vairivasham Yataha Kan Bhogan Upalapsyate E Mamanugata Nityam Prasada Dhana Bhojanaihi Anuvrittim Dhruvam Tetya Kurvantyanya Mahibhrutam Asamyak Vyayashilaistai Kurvadbihi Satatam Vyayam Sanchitai Soti Dhukkena Kasyam Kosho Gamishyati Etachanyacha Satatam Chintayamasha Parthivaha Tatra Viprashramabhyashe Vaishyamekam Dadarshasaha. So that is the way we chant that. Now we'll learn to chant these verses. Please repeat these verses after me. मत्पूर्वैः पालितं पूर्वं मत्पूर्वैः पालितं पूर्वं मया हीनं पुरं हि तत् मया हीनं पुरं हि तत् मद्भृत्यैस्तैरसद्वृत्तैर्धर्मतः पाल्यते न वा धर्मतः पाल्यते न वा न जाने स प्रधानो मे न जाने स प्रधानो मे शूरो हस्ति सदा मदः शूरो हस्ति सदा मदः मम वैरिवशं यातः मम वैरिवशं यातः कान् भोगानुपलप्स्यते कान् भोगानुपलप्स्यते ये ममानुगता नित्यं ये ममानुगता नित्यं प्रसादधनभोजनैः प्रसादधनभोजनैः अनुवृत्तिं ध्रुवं तेद्य अनुवृत्तिं ध्रुवं तेद्य कुर्वन्त्यन्यमहीभृताम् कुर्वन्त्यन्यमहीभृताम् असम्यग् व्ययशीलैस्तैः असम्यग् व्यवशीलैस्तैः कुर्वद्भिः सततं व्ययम् कुर्वद्भिः सततं व्ययम् सञ्चितैः सोति दुःखेन सञ्चितैः सोति दुःखेन क्षयं कोशो गमिष्यति क्षयं कोशो गमिष्यति एतच्चान्यच्च सततम् एतच्चान्यच्च सततं चिन्तयामास पार्थिवः चिन्तयामास पार्थिवः तत्र विप्राश्रमाभ्यासे तत्र विप्राश्रमाभ्यासे वैश्यमेकं दधर्षसः वैश्यमेकं दधर्षसः Now we shall look into the meaning of these verses. In the last session, we had seen up to the 11th verse. Before that, in the 10th, Satatrashramam Adrakshit Dvijavaryasya Medasaha Prashantaha Shwapada Kirnam Muni Shishopashobhitam Tastau Kanchit Sakalam Cha Munina Tena Satkritaha. So that Satkritaha, there we stopped our conversation. The ashrama inmates, and especially the Rishi Medhas who was heading that ashrama, he took care of this king with great concern and treated him so nicely, giving him food and all the other things. Itaschetascha vicharans tasmin munivarashrame tastau kanchit sakalam cha munina tena satkritaha. So in this 10-11 verses, what we see, he saw, that is our Surata, the king, there, the hermitage of Medas, the supreme among the twice born, inhabited by wild animals. I gave the details of how the wild animals are also were peaceful in that ashram, which were peaceful and graced by the disciples of the sage, entertained by the sage, treated well by the sage. Surata spent some time moving about in the hermitage of the great sage. So that is the meaning of this 10th and 11th verse. In the 12th verse we see, so chintayat tada tatra mamatva krishta manasaha, then overcome with attachment. See, until now he was feeling very happy. The rishi treated him well. Peace came to his mind seeing that wonderful ashram. In spite of that, now he is feeling unhappy. Why is it? Because you may go to the Himalayas, you may go to any place in the cave, on the bank of Ganga, or the best place in the world, most peaceful place. But what do you carry? You carry your own mind. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells, your mind itself is your friend. Your mind itself is your enemy. How is it? Krishna is telling like this, your mind itself is your friend, your mind itself is your enemy. Atmaiva hi bandhuhu, atmaiva hi ripuratmanaha. So a trained mind will be your friend, but an untrained mind will be your enemy. When we do not train our mind properly, it will take control of us and it will put us into problem. Like if we don't train our children from the young age, the children as they grow up, they become very boisterous. They will throw temper tantrums and they will not come to our control at all. So, if we train those children properly with good ideals, not just punishing and locking them up is not the way, but giving them good samskara, good satsanga, the company of the good people. So what happens is, we can train the mind. Once the mind is trained, it becomes our friend. Then it will obey, it will cooperate with us. Otherwise, it will take its own course. See, now this king has come to this wonderful ashram. He is in the company of the wonderful sage, and also his disciples are all wonderful. They are highly elevated souls. Now the great Medhas, the sage, has treated him well, given him food, kind words, but he was very happy. His mind was very calm now, after all the turmoil he had undergone. But again, untrained mind. So, it came back with force. You had suppressed it, that's all. Now it is coming back with force to trouble you. You can just notice your own mind and your own life, all this happening all the time. So what is the word here used? So chintayata tada tatra mamatva krishta manasaha. Meaning, then overcome with attachment. So that is the main problem of every one of us. Overcome with attachment. What did he do? He fell into thinking. See, externally he has the best thing. Externally he has the best company. Everything is so nice. He was in such a challenging situation. He was beaten by the enemies. His own people deceived him. His own ministers robbed him of all his wealth and treasury and everything, power, and he was pushed out. And he came in the pretext of hunting. So he started going to the forest, and now he has come to the wonderful place. His mind is very peaceful. But now what to do? Attachment. So Arjuna also, you can see, he was called Dhananjaya. There was nothing for him to win. He had won over all the enemies, not only the external physical enemies. Dhana means wealth, name and fame, everything. But he fell into dejection, depression. Where? At the time of the important righteous battle, Kurukshetra, and in whose company? Lord Krishna, the Paramatman, is there with him. But what is the use? Because I have not made my mind firm, strong. The weakness put him down. What is that? Attachment. In Bhagavad Gita, I have taken you through that word attachment. I will take you through again, which is very, very important here, so you can understand it better. So we will go forward with the simple meaning. When I come to the details of the meaning, I will go through that. So what is happening? Now the king is thinking. Then overcome with attachment, he fell thinking, I do not know whether the capital, my capital, which was well guarded by my ancestors and recently deserted by me, is being guarded righteously or not. He himself is in a pathetic condition. Now he is worried about his kingdom, whether it is ruled by the enemies properly or not, whether my subjects are being taken care of not. Just like now we may be in the hospital or we may be in the worst of the situation. Instead of controlling our mind and praying to God, we'll be worrying about the dog in our house. We'll be worrying about the pet cat, what has happened to my cat. So, same condition. We are all, everybody, we are in the same condition. Basic human problem. These are all the basic human problem. He's worried about something. I think in one of the pictures I had seen in some of our scriptures, it is shown. One person had climbed a tree. Underneath there are poisonous king cobras ready to bite him. Now he has gone up the tree to escape that cobra. Now because there were some other brutes which are trying to harm him, he fell down below. The elephant is shaking the tree to put him down. The branch may break any time. Now the branch which he is holding with both the hands to support him, otherwise he will fall to a deep well. He may be hurt. Down there are so many cobras to bite him. So he is surviving with great difficulty. Any time now the rats started coming and cutting the branch in which he is hanging. So they are now in such a precarious condition. Any time the rat may cut that branch and he may fall down. The cobras may bite him or the elephant may crush him. So many dangers everywhere. Even the fall can. But above him there was honeycomb. The honeycomb, there was this, what do you call, honey was dropping down. This fellow, instead of worrying to save his life, he is opening his tongue to eat the honey there. His life is going to be crushed now. Anytime the cobras may bite him, the elephant may crush him, he may fall down. But even in that pathetic situation, that from the honeycomb, drops of honey, that sweet honey is falling down. This fellow stretching his mouth, opening his mouth and tongue to catch that honey. So that's our condition. That's our life. You can see even our life is the same. We need not laugh at that person. Just go back and see what we are doing. The same thing, nothing else. The same thing is happening. So now he is worried about what might be happening to my kingdom, my throne, my people, my subjects. And now, just like we are worried about, I have seen there in Johannesburg also, many devotees were there. Why are you not coming to ashram? How to take care of my dog? Dog is very important. Spiritual life is gone to dogs. Instead of going to gods, spiritual life is gone to dogs. So we don't know what are our priorities in life. How much of importance should we give to what? That we are not at all. See why all this happens? Because we have not trained our minds properly. Attachment, attachment. So he is worried whether my kingdom, he has been thrown out, his throne has been captured, his own treasury has been looted, his own servants have deceived him, deserted him, his own ministers have taken up appropriated his everything. Now he's worried whether the subjects, my palace is guarded or not they were built by my ancestors and recently deserted by me, is being guarded well righteously or not by my servants of evil conduct. I do not know what enjoyment my chief elephant is worried about, the enjoyment of his elephant. His own life is in peril. Now he is worried about the enjoyment of his elephant. I had taken care of my elephant. I had fed it so nicely. It had become very plump. It was intoxicated. How enthusiastic it was. Now, are they feeding that elephant properly? What has happened to my elephant? See the fun. He's worried about his elephant. I do not know what enjoyments my chief elephant, heroic and always intoxicated and elated, Madaha, and now fallen into the hands of my foes. Sab pradhano me shuro hasti sada madaha. It was always intoxicated. What has happened to my elephant? Mama vairi vasham yataha. Now my enemies have taken control of it, whether they are treating it properly or not, whether they are feeding it properly or not. Kan bhogan upalapsyate. Whether my elephant has lost all its enjoyment. What about your enjoyment? You never now have a seat to sit, a home to dwell, and you are worried about the enjoyment of your elephant. Ye mamanugata nityam prasada dhana bhojanaihi anuvrittim dhruvam tedya kurvan anya mahi bhritam. So now he is worrying those who were my constant followers, who were my servants, and they received favors, riches, and food from me. Now certainly they all are now loyal to my enemy king, those kings who have captured it. First, I had taken care of them. I fed them so nicely. Now their loyalty is gone. They will be now serving them. What a fate. So he's worrying about their loyalty. Those who were my constant followers, now they received my favor, riches and food from me. Now certainly they are paying homage to the enemies, those kings. What about the treasure? With great difficulty I took the tax and other things, collected all the funds, and I had built up my treasury. The treasure which I had gathered with great care. Those enemies, they may be bad-natured, spendthrift. They may be vyaya, wasting it. They may be exhausting all my funds. They may be squandering by those constant spendthrifts who are addicted to improper expenditures. I had collected all that thing, wealth, with so much of care. What is happening to my wealth? See, he's worried about his wealth when his own condition is so pathetic. So you can see here, etachanyacha satatam chintayamasa parthivaha. The king started worrying. See, instead of enjoying the company of that great sage, instead of having the company of that beautiful ashram, the atmosphere where he was staying in the midst of the forest, even the wild animals were transformed into peaceful animals. They were living together without hurting each other in that wonderful atmosphere. Instead of meditating on God or thinking positively, now his mind has gone to attachment. That is all you saw now. We will go into some more details of these things. So that, because it is very, very near to our life, that's why. See, it is not just for chanting and getting some benefit. Now you can see really it is so well connected to our life. Tastau kanchit sakalancha munina tena satkritah itaschetascha vicharans tasmin munivarashrame. Munina tena satkritah, welcomed by the rishis. Saha, that king, itaschetascha vicharan, wandered here and there. Kanchit kalam, for some time. Tasmin munivarashrame, in the ashram of the esteemed rishis. Tastaucha, and ended up staying there. They gave him even place to stay there. Welcomed by the esteemed rishis, the king stayed for a while in the ashram. He spent his time wandering here and there in the ashram, looking at the beauty of the ashram. Then what happened? So chintaya tada tatra mamatma krishta chetanaha mat purvaihi palitam purvam maya hinam puram hitat. While in the ashrama, the king, drawn by the sense of attachment, pondered thus. Tada tatra saha, then in that place, he, mamatva krishta chetasaha, the one with the mind overcome by the sense of attachment, possession, chintayat, thought. Mat purvaihi, by my ancestors, purvam, long ago, palitam, tat puram, that city, that kingdom, that palace that was protected by my ancestors and well built by my ancestors, mayahinam, he is indeed bereft of me. Let us now go to the depth of what is this attachment. What is this? Is it called love? Is it called love for those people or compassion for those people? So we get confused. No, it is not so. Let us see what it is. If you see the beautiful lashes given by Swami Vivekananda, then I think if we should get some tongue lashes from Vivekananda, then we will also wake up and understand our weakness. I will take you through some of the beautiful statements of Swami Vivekananda. What is that Vivekananda is telling? If we examine our lives, we find that the greatest cause of sorrow is this. We take up something and put our whole energy on it. Perhaps it is a failure, and yet we cannot give it up. We know it is a failure, but we cannot give it up. We know that it is hurting us, that any further clinging to it simply bring misery on us. Still, we cannot tear ourselves away from it. Now, Swami Vivekananda gives the example, the beautiful example of the bee. What is that? The bee. Now, what is the bee compared to ourselves? The bee, Vivekananda is telling, the bee came to sip the honey, but its feet stuck in the honey. It got stuck to the honey pot and it could not get away. It came to enjoy the honey, but its legs got caught in the pot, in the honey. The same condition with us again and again. We are finding ourselves in that state. That is the whole secret of existence. This world, this Mahamaya, that is the secret of this existence. What is that secret? Why are we here? Why all of us came here? We came here to sip the honey. We thought we will enjoy this world. We came here to sip the honey, and we find our hands and feet sticking to this world. We are caught. Though we came to catch, we are caught. We came to enjoy, and we are being enjoyed. We came to rule and we are being ruled. We came to work, we are being worked. All the time we find that, and this comes into every detail of our life. We are being worked upon by others' mind, our own mind, and we are always struggling to work on other minds. We want to enjoy the pleasures of life, and that pleasures eat into our vitals. We want to get everything from nature, but we find in the long run that nature takes everything from us, depletes us, and casts us aside. Had it not been for this, life would have been all sunshine. Had it not been to this attachment of ours, weakness of ours, all of our life would have been sunshine and sunshine only. Never mind, with all its failures and successes, with all its joys and sorrows, it can be one succession of sunshine if only we are not caught in it. That is the one cause of misery. What is that? Vivekananda tells, we are attached. We are attached. We are being caught because of that. Therefore, Vivekananda tells, Bhagavad Gita, therefore says Bhagavad Gita, be in the world, work constantly, work, but not be attached to the work or attached to the world. That is what our Lord Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita. Be not be attached, be not be caught. Reserve unto yourself the power of detaching yourself from everything, however beloved, however much the soul might yearn for it, however great the pangs of misery you feel if you were going to leave it, still reserve the power of leaving it whenever you want. The weak have no place here in this life or in any other life. Weakness leads to slavery. Attachment is weakness. Weakness leads to slavery. Weakness leads to all kinds of misery, physical and mental. Weakness is death. There are hundreds of thousands of microbes, bacteria, viruses surrounding us, but they cannot harm us unless we become weak. Unless we weaken our immunity, there are millions of bacteria and viruses in our breath, in our water, in our hands, in our mouth, in our intestine. Everywhere there are millions of bacteria and viruses. They cannot harm us until we become weak. The moment we weaken by our worries and attachment, our immune system, then only they can attack us. Now, what is happening? Swami Vivekananda, in those days, he's telling about this. There may be millions of microbes of misery floating about us. Never mind, they dare not touch us, approach us. They have no power to get a hold on us until our mind is weakened. Attachment. This is great fact. Strength is life. Weakness is death. Strength is felicity. Life eternal, immortal. Weakness is constant strain and misery. Weakness is death. Now, Vivekananda continues. He tells attachment is the source of all our pleasures now. We are attached to our friends, we are attached to our relatives, we are attached to our intellectual and spiritual works, we are attached to external objects so that we get pleasure from them. What again brings misery but this very attachment? We have to detach ourselves to earn joy. If only we had power to detach ourselves at will, there would not be any misery. That man or woman alone will be able to get the best of nature, who having the power of attaching himself to a thing with all his energy is also the power to detach himself when he should do so. We have developed the capacity to attach to the thing, but we have not developed to detach. The difficulty is that there must be as much power of attachment as that of detachment. There are men who are never attached. Some people, they don't get attached at all. They don't get into this world at all. They are not attracted by anything. They can never love. They are hard-hearted and apathetic. They escape most of the miseries of the life. But that is not the correct way. But now Vivekananda tells the wall never feels misery. The wall never loves, is never hurt, it is not attached, but it is just a wall. Therefore, the man who never loves, who never gets attached, who is hard and stony, escaping most of the miseries of life, also escapes its joys. We do not want that. We do not want such people. That is also weakness. That is also death. The soul has not been awakened, that never feels weakness. So we should be attached. We should have this weakness, but we should develop the strength after that. The soul has not been awakened, that never feels weakness, never feels misery. That is a callous state. We do not want that. Then what do we want? At the same time, we not only want this mighty power of love, this almighty power of attachment, the power of throwing our whole soul upon a single object, losing ourselves and letting ourselves be annihilated, as it were, for others' soul, which is the power of God. So we should also love and get attached, but we should also use that power of attachment and love to turn towards God, that one object. Now, in this same line of Swami Vivekananda's argument, what is happening? I will take to the present day. What is that? Again and again we are finding ourselves in this state of attachment. That is the whole secret of existence. Have you not seen our credit card companies, our banks, debit card, base their existence on our attachment. We start spending even before we earn. Debit card, credit card. See how we are attached to that, spending the money. So they use our weakness. What is that? Suppose you take credit or loan from the bank and immediately give it back on time. Then there is no profit to the bank at all. They know our weakness. We cannot give back the money on time. So interest will double up or quadruple, go on increasing, and the bank survives. So what is all these banks surviving upon? Your weakness, your attachment. All these great companies, all the different companies are surviving on your attachment. You see, where are we? What about all the other companies? The WhatsApp, the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We get addicted. Attachment. You know, those companies, they spend lot of money on research. See what the scientists should do research for the development of this world, but they do research how to attach these people's mind to our products. To glue, we should be glued to the TV, we should be glued to the WhatsApp, we should be glued to the YouTube. They do research. What is to be done? Sorry, excuse me. So they do research to attract people to their applications and products. The multinational company have subliminal advertisements. The advertisement out of their research, they see, they know our weakness of subconscious mind. They do the weakness in such a way that our subconscious mind is attracted to them. Want an example? The deodorant. The youths, they will put the deodorant and he will go and some 7 or 8, 10 girls will follow him. Or vice versa, scent and other things, vice versa. And these boys or girls, seeing that nobody will care for your scent or deodorant. They have their own worries. But the moment they see that advertisement, that is called subliminal advertisements. They do a lot of research how to attract your subconscious mind, how to put them to their control. See, Just like slaves, we fall to that, and these youths will go and buy that deodorants, thinking, yes, this may happen. Or even the girls, or anybody for that, all the human beings. I'm just giving an example. That is the way the multinational companies have subliminal advertisement to make us buy their products. The pharmaceutical company makes us attached to their medicines. You may not have diseases, you will get attached to their medicines. You can't give up those syrups and medicines. Everybody is enslaving you. Why? Because of your weakness. And what is that? Attachment. Now, Vivekananda took you through that. Now, let me take you through. That is what now in this Durga Saptashati we saw it. How many years back was this? In the Satya Yuga, or maybe in the second Manvantara. Not even in this creation. Second Manvantara, millions of years back, the problem was the same. During Arjuna's time, the problem was the same. During Rama's time, the problem was the same. So, this is called basic problems of life. So, even Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, nobody wants to read. Even Shankaracharya has not given explanation to that. But why did Vyasa Maharshi keep the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga? Because to introduce the first purpose of the first chapter in Bhagavad Gita is to present the basic human problem, the transmigratory existence. What is that? I call this basic human problem because this human problem is universally irrespective of nationality. You may be in South Africa, you may be in India, you may be in America. You go to the moon or Mars, the same thing. They are the same problem. And I'm telling you, even during Suratha, in the second Manvantara, the problem is the same. Even now, after 5,000 years, if you leave, the problem will be the same. So these are called basic human problem. The problem is a human problem at any time of history, whether it is any color, creed, nation, irrespective of whatever, education, sex, age, irrespective of the superficial human differences, the basic problem of samsara is the same. What are they? Now, we shall have a little deeper understanding. If we have that deeper understanding, then you will appreciate it. You can come out. Suppose I know that I have some disease, then only I can go to the doctor and get the medicine and then resolve or cure the disease. Suppose I do not know that I have a disease. If I do not know I have gone mad, I will never go to the doctor. Only when I come to know that I have a problem, I have a disease, then only I will go to the doctor and take the medicine. Otherwise, other people may come and tell you, you have the disease, please take the medicine. No, I don't have the problem. Why should I take the medicine? So let us study that problem a little deeper so that we can understand and we can come out of that problem. Now, I will take you through that wonderful thing. And the first chapter is in Bhagavad Gita, the basic human problem. What about the rest 17 chapters? They are the remedies. The whole of Bhagavad Gita is the remedy. The first chapter is basic human problem, and all the 17 chapter from second chapter onwards is presenting the remedy to that. That's why we have to read Bhagavad Gita or this Devi Mahatmyam, because it will remove all that attachment. Remedy needs to be known. Unless we know the disease, we cannot appreciate the importance and the relevance of the remedy. And therefore, samsara, this transmigratory existence, let us know what is that. We have in this world 3 basic human problems. In the medical term, what do they call it? If we have more diseases than one, it is called as, it is explained in different ways. What is that? A combination of disease. It is called syndrome. There is only one disease, it is disease. If there are many diseases combined together, it is called syndrome. So we have that syndrome. What is the first one? Ragaha. What is ragaha? Attachment. What is attachment? Now, The word raga means attachment, emotional dependence, psychological addiction to people, to things, to situation, to name and fame. So psychological dependence, that is called attachment. Again, I will tell, ragaha or attachment means emotional, psychological addiction to things, to people, to situation. So that is called attachment. Now, we think that this attachment as love and compassion and get confused. That is the greatest of the problem. It looks very similar. That's why we get fooled. So, we will see what is the difference between this attachment and love. Then we can differentiate that. Otherwise, we think whatever we are doing, we are having such great thing called love, compassion, and we will be fooled. Let us not be fooled. Compassion is of two kinds. It is that one is the divine compassion that God and the saints feel towards the soul in the material realm on seeing the sufferings in the because they are separated from God. The other is the material compassion that we feel upon seeing the bodily distress of other people who are in pain. Material compassion is a noble sentiment that is not perfectly directed. So only Ramakrishna tells in the gospel and many other places, only God can show compassion. Ours is only attachment. So material compassion is a noble sentiment that is not perfectly directed. It is like being obsessed with the health of the car. You are being obsessed with the health of the car while the driver sitting within is famished for food. Arjuna experienced that kind of sentiment towards his kith and kin on the battlefield, and now you see Surata is also experiencing the same thing. This sentiment or emotion is called attachment and should not be confused with the divine compassion, daya or love. Arjuna is overwhelmed with material pity towards his enemy gathered for the battle, and the same thing is happening to our Surata also. The fact that Arjuna is overcome by grief, if it was compassion, you would have not felt the grief. The fact that Arjuna is overcome by grief, or Surata he is overcome by grief, despair, shows that he himself is in dire need of compassion. Therefore, the idea of his being merciful or compassionate on others is meaningless. So now the Surata is having compassion, he thinks, towards his elephant, towards his subject, towards his kingdom. He himself needs compassion. Now let us see. Sri Ramakrishna tells in the gospel. Our ideal Sri Ramakrishna espoused the difference between true love or compassion, daya, and attachment, maya. What does Sri Ramakrishna tells? Remember that daya, compassion, and maya, attachment, are two different things. Ramakrishna is telling, attachment means, please note, be carefully, Ramakrishna himself is telling what is attachment. Hear it and cogitate on that, take it into your heart and practice it. Attachment means the feeling of minus towards one's own relatives. It is the love one feels for one's own parents, one's own brother, one's own sister, one's own wife and husband and children. Whereas Ramakrishna is telling compassion or daya is the love one feels for all the beings. If you can love everybody, every other person in the street, just like you love your husband or the child or the father and mother, then that is compassion. Didn't you see Holy Mother Sharada Devi? None were the children. She didn't have any children. but she loved everybody like her children. That is compassion. So now see, the difference is told by Ramakrishna. It is the love one feels for one's own parents, one's children and husband. That is Maya. That is, you think as compassion, but that is the attachment. Compassion is the love one feels for all beings of the world. It is an attitude of equality. If you see anywhere an instance of compassion, during Ramakrishna's time, there was one person who was very, very compassionate. That was Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar in Bengal. So Ramakrishna is giving his example. You're so compassionate. Anywhere an instance of compassion, as in Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, know that it is due to the grace of God. Through compassion, one serves all beings. Maya also comes from God. Through Maya, God makes one serve one's own relatives. But one thing should be remembered, Maya keeps us in ignorance and entangles us to this world, whereas Daya, compassion, makes our heart pure and gradually unites us with God. It will untie the bonds. Compassion springs from the quality of sattva. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge, jnana. After attaining knowledge, a man says, "Oh God, nothing belongs to me. Neither this house or that temple or anything, whether Brahma Samaj, these are all thine, O Lord. Wife, son, and family, husband, parents, they do not belong to me. They are all thine. They all belong to you, O Lord." To love these objects, regarding them as one's own, is Maya. But to love all things is Daya, compassion. To love only the members of your own community or Samaj or organization, of your own family, is Maya. To love one's own countrymen is also Maya. But to love the people of all countries, to love the members of all religions, is Daya. Such love comes from the love of God, from Daya. But Maya, attachment, entangles a man and turns him away from God. So now you heard the difference told by Sri Ramakrishna himself, because if anybody else would have told, would have got angry. But when Ramakrishna himself has told, the Lord, the Ishvara Sarvadeva Devi Swarupa, then we have to think seriously. So I have made a research out of it, and I have brought out some of the basic difference. Let us go through that basic difference and understand it and stop our study of this wonderful scripture with understanding of what is compassion, what is attachment, what is love, what is attachment, the difference. So the above exposition by Master gives us some idea of difference between compassion and attachment. Vedanta or our scriptures are against attachment, Maya, and all the Vedanta or our scriptures are all for compassion or true love, Daya. A true devotee must differentiate between Maya and attachment and compassion or true love, which are very, very similar emotions. That's why we get confused, because they are very similar emotions. A scientific analysis of the above theme will now be attempted. What is that? The first difference. While attachment is very much criticized in our scriptures, compassion or love is something very much glorified by our scriptures. Second difference. While attachment is presented as a trait of worldly person, samsari, love is presented as a trait and characteristics of a liberated, saintly person, a saint. Third difference, attachment is based on selfishness. When we are attached to a person, when we are attached to a thing or position, when we are emotionally hooked or dependent, or holding on to that person or thing or position based on our selfishness, what I gain. Which means all the time I'll be thinking of what do I get out of that particular relationship. We never bother about what other person gets out of this relationship. Either we do not care or it is only secondary. I am always interested my happiness only. And for the sake of my happiness, when I emotionally depend upon a person or a thing or a situation, that selfish leaning, that selfish dependence is called attachment. Whereas love or compassion is totally different relationship. It is based on selflessness, unselfishness, where I'm not going to emphasize very much on what do I get out of it, but I'm interested in the well-being of others. So true love or compassion is based on selflessness or unselfishness, whereas attachment is based on selfishness. A baby fish asked the mother fish, it seems, "Mother, men live on the earth above the water. Why can't we live there?" Then the mother told, it seems, "My dear child, we are fish. They are selfish, so they live on the earth. We are fish, we live in the water. They are selfish, the human beings, so they are living on the." And what is the fourth difference? The fourth difference, which is a corollary of the third one, is attachment is always in the form of taking. What do I get? Taking. I hold on to things and situation and people for taking or getting something, whereas love or compassion is something which is based on giving, sacrifice. One is in the form of taking, another is in the form of giving. Fourth difference we have seen. What is the fifth difference? Attachment is always conditional. As long as I am going to be benefited by this relationship with a person or a people, as long as I am comfortable, I hold on to that. The moment I am not comfortable, I drop that relationship with that person or the people like a hot potato, and that conditional psychological dependence is called attachment. The moment you don't get anything and you are not benefited, divorce, talaq. You can see now happening everywhere. My God, everywhere the divorces. Why? Selfishness. You're not worried about the other person at all. Now it is unconditional and that is conditional. Now, the sixth difference between attachment and the true love is attachment invariably comes from a weak mind which is empty, which is not happy within itself, and therefore it depends upon external factors for satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment, etc. It is empty, so it depends upon the external factors. Therefore, attachment is born out of weakness. Whereas love or compassion is not born out of weakness, but it comes out of strength and fullness of our being. Okay. So in attachment, the intellect is clouded. See, when you get attached to some person or a thing or to name and fame or position or anything, that is temporary. It is going to get destroyed. So you will start worrying when that person will go away, when that person whom I love will die, what is going to him, did he come back? So you will be always worrying because it is definitely temporary. Anything that you are attached to in this world is temporary. It cannot be eternal. It has to be destroyed. So always you will be worrying. So that is the next, as I told you, syndrome. So 3 diseases. What is the disease? First disease, attachment. Through attachment, what do you get? Shoka, sorrow. Always sorrowful. What is going to happen? future, what is your future, everything, you will be always sorrowed, worried. Now, because of attachment, because of worry, what happens is your intellect gets clouded. You cannot take the right decisions. So, you take wrong decisions. You think right is wrong, wrong and right, and you take wrong decisions. So that's why what happens is your mind is deluded. That is called moha. Moha. Have you seen Dhritarashtra, who had 100 children? Gandhari. They were blind. What is that blindness indicating there in the Mahabharata? Due to attachment to their children, they couldn't think properly. They thought it was love. They didn't discipline their children. They wrongly brought up their children, and all of them died. So you see, both of them, are father and mother, are shown blind. Blind with delusion, blind with attachment. Didn't bring up the children properly. Whereas the 5 Pandavas, Kunti, they brought her up with righteousness. You can see that. Now, in 7th, attachment, the intellect is clouded, and therefore attachment will lead to violation of dharma, righteousness. Whereas in true love or in compassion, a person's intellect is sane and clear, and therefore it will never lead to violation of righteousness, dharma. Then the 8th difference is, while true love or compassion is a sign of freedom, mukti, it will give you freedom, true love. Whereas attachment is a sign of bondage. It will bind you. Attachment, the 9th difference, attachment or maya leads to sorrow, shoka, which in turn leads to delusion, confusion, moha. Whereas compassion or true love leads to bliss, ananda. Finally, to God realization. So, let us all develop the true love or compassion and progress towards God. Let us not get confused with the attachment or selfishness as love. So, with one example, my own personal example, we shall end this conversation. What is that? That was in 1987. I went to my mother. I fell at her feet and I told mother, I want to become a monk, sannyasi. I want to join the Ramakrishna ashram as a sannyasi. So please bless me. Because in our religion, Sanatana Dharma, and our Ramakrishna tradition, we revere mother as manifestation of God herself. So we have to get a permission. So I went to take permission before becoming the monk. When I fell at her feet and asked for blessing, still those words of my mother are ringing in my ears. She told, my dear child, I'm not worried or bothered about whether you will become a monk or a householder. I'm not worried whether you will live in the monastery or somewhere else or in the house with me. My only paramount interest, my only worry is, or my interest is, that you should be happy wherever you are. Whatever you are, wherever you are, you should be happy. So that was the blessing my mother gave. After that, 5 or 6 years after my joining, I read it in a newspaper. The border of Maharashtra and Karnataka in India, a family, all you know, that normal family, nucleus family, they had a child. Now he grew up. He is now reading in the 5th or 6th semester of the engineering. So there in the engineering college, while he was studying in the final years or the semester, whatever semester, he fell in love with a girl. Then he wanted to get married. So he came to the mother. This happened, I read this in the newspaper. Then the child came to the father and mother, seek permission. they wanted to get married. Then the father and mother asked, which caste does that girl belong to? Because at that time in India, even now, some places that is too strong, that social barricades and other things, which caste does not belong to our caste, so we cannot permit you. You have to not marry her. You have to marry in our own caste, which whom we tell. Now, but he couldn't give up what to do. He was staying in the house. After some time, when the parents didn't permit, they wanted to run away, elope, run away, both boy and girl. So while they were running away, they were caught by the parents, and the parents separated that girl, sent to the house, and locked up the child, their son, in the room. So they were feeding him and they had locked him up. They were not sending him out because he may run away. But after some times, somehow when the door was open, he tried to run away and escape. This time they caught hold of him with great difficulty. They were very rich. What they did was they chained him there's a big palatial building. Inside they chained him in a room where he couldn't be heard outside. The mother used to feed him, dress him, bathe him, everything in chains in the house. Father, everything, he's earning and looking after the child. They didn't want to part with him. Serving, everything, all the service at doorstep, but it was chained. Legs were chained, hand were chained. He couldn't run because he tried to escape. After maybe 11 years or so, somehow the neighbors came to know, because he had become almost half mad. Then the neighbors came to know, they complained to the police, and the police came and forcibly he was taken out. He was admitted to the mental asylum. So at that time it came in the newspaper. Now we think that also is a love to that boy, to the child. Parents were not worried about the happiness of the child. They were only worried about their own possessiveness and attachment. Whereas, it's not that to show the greatness of my mother, when I went to ask her that I am becoming a monk, my mother replied, my dear child, for me, my worry is not that, or concern is not that whether you will become a monk or a householder or whatever, whether you live with me, live in the house or not. Wherever you are, you should be happy. So true love is in the happiness of others. If I'm interested only in my happiness, that is attachment, selfishness. So I give this example just to differentiate, to understand. So now, why is this Surata in trouble? Attachment. Mamatva karshta. Mamatva karshta manasaha. His mind is now troubled by attachment, though he is in the beautiful ashram under the care of the great Muni. So afterwards, he tells why, when he asks that question, why, then the Rishi will go on explaining about the Divine Mother. Then finally, he will lose all that attachment. He gets devotion to the mother, he does. So by the grace of mother, he became the Manu in the 8th, this thing, not even now, next Manvantara. Now I told you, we are in the Vaivasvata Manvantara. After maybe another million years, it will be next creation. During that time, he will become the Manu by the grace of the Divine Mother. So, we will study this very beautiful thing called Devi Mahatmyam. If we chant that, so much of protection will be there. All our mayas will be cut asunder. So that attachment, we will get true devotion to God. Everything will be changed in our life. That's why we shall, with great faith, study this wonderful scripture, Devi Mahatmyam, and be blessed. Now we can pray.